You've been working together for 5 years as coworkers. Both of you have the same job series and always tag team difficult tasks that the boss assigns to you. It is almost as if the two of you were sisters. At least, that's the rumor around the break room. Then an event happened that tore the sisterhood apart. The boss posted 2 jobs as internal promotions for the identical work the two of you performed. You both knew your 2-person team was a shoo-in for the jobs, but the day of the reckoning soon followed. For you got one of the promotions, but the other was not given to your coworker. Instead, an individual from another department received the honor. When the announcement was made, your coworker began attacking you, saying you knew she wasn't selected because she saw you speaking with the boss behind her back. Your coworker's verbal attacks on you were scathing as she attempted to drill you about everything you knew about the promotion. Of course, you refused to answer her interrogation. She even suggested that you should give her half of your increased pay just to keep things fair, were her words. Needless to say, that was another demand you ignored. A few years later, an aunt died in your family. Following her departure, she left you a nice inheritance. However, your sibling received nothing. Thinking back, it was a replay of the prior event with the coworker not receiving the promotion. Although you stayed in close contact with the aunt on a weekly basis and helped her monetarily as you could despite your living out of town from her, your sibling who lived a few miles away from the aunt had minimal contact. But when the sibling learned of your inheritance, she was inflamed and, as with the coworker, the onslaught of the interrogation began, followed by the request to give half of the inheritance to her, to keep things fair. As your life of being that lucky one continued, you eventually became the big kahuna in your family's eyes, at least the one still alive. For when your remaining parent died, he left the entire estate to you. Your sibling received nothing. 0. Zilch. Another demeaning interrogation began from your sibling, with accusations of you having behind-the-back conversations with your parent while knowing your sibling was to receive nothing. Furthermore, you didn't do your duty to your sibling to intervene and ensure they received their fair portion. This traumatic event brought back those distasteful memories from before involving your coworker and aunt, and you began to evaluate these life episodes for their similarities based on your training with the Stoicess. You realize that the good deeds you performed for others while being viewed by your coworker and sibling were not sufficient to cause a change in either your coworker or sibling. Yes, you did have the upper hand regarding knowledge regarding your coworker's dilemma because you spoke with the boss frequently, whereas your coworker did not, and the boss shared with you your coworker's shortcoming. The shortcoming? Communication. The boss said your coworker never reached out to him to keep him apprised of her work. In fact, he stated it was like pulling teeth to get information from her. And did you go back to your coworker and repeat his exact words to her? No, you did not. Instead, you encouraged her on several occasions to speak directly with the boss to keep him informed of her work. However, your suggestion fell on deaf ears. Then there was your siblings' interaction with the aunt. Another communication issue here as well. You suggested several times to your sibling that the aunt would appreciate being checked in on, which your sibling rarely did. On one occasion, your sibling told you she was upset because the aunt called out of the blue, asking your sibling to take the aunt to the dentist due to a severe toothache. Your sibling was appalled at the request and pretty much told the aunt that she, the aunt, was not in the sibling's inner circle. So, needless to say, your sibling's communication with the aunt was not only rare, it was hurtful as well. However, following the aunt's death and dispersion of her estate, your sibling tells you it was your duty to keep your sibling in the will. However, as with the coworker, you figure these folks must live in Wayne's World, because such a duty does not exist in the real world. Your duty was to teach others by your actions and not to do the work for them. Yes, the Bible tells us to be our brother's keeper, which means to help our brother. It doesn't mean that the brother or sister can be slothful while demanding you to do the heavy lifting for them. As Apostle Paul said in layman's terms, if they don't do the work, they don't get the rewards. And now your mind comes to the final event of distribution of your parents' estate. The issue? Communication again. Of course. Your sibling didn't spend the time or show the level of concern needed by the parent, in the parent's eyes. And how do you know this? By your communication with your parent. As with the prior episodes in your life where you communicated bi-weekly with your boss and bi-weekly with your aunt, you also communicated regularly with your parent. In fact, you checked on the parent nightly. And you know that by communicating regularly with another, they will tell you things on their mind just to keep the conversation going. Thus, yes, you knew about the outcomes of the upcoming job promotion, the aunt's inheritance, and your parents' inheritance. And what did you say to these individuals when they told you of their decision? You said, "Thank you," and you do your best to make them proud with what you would be given. So, as your sibling attempts to interrogate you on what you knew based on your communications with the parent while throwing in some slanderous barbs, those hurtful accusations they pitch along the way, you ignore the requests for information and tell them, "A slothful brother's keeper I am not. You apparently didn't do the work of regularly communicating with our parent and meeting his needs. You did not follow my example. So, as the Bible teaches, if you don't do the work, you don't get to eat of the spoils." It's a harsh lesson you have now learned. Now, using my Stoic storytelling method, my parents left me their inheritance. Should I share it with my siblings? Stop drifting, sprint to the finish. Marcus Aurelius. If a man will not work, he shall not eat. Apostle Paul. I will not share. I realize I have no duty to intervene because A, the issue is between my siblings and my parents, and B, I was not asked by either to intervene on their behalf while both parties were alive. The character trait I improved was staying in my own lane and not considering whether to intervene in others' issues without being asked to do so. Thank you for sharing your mind with me. For your continued success, hear my secret. When they fail to do their work at hand, do not give in to the shame from you they now demand. Now relax, control your mind, and be as you wish to seem. Empowered. Remember, it's the situation keeping my connection with Him. I'm Lori Stith, the Stoicess, your Christian life coach, and I believe in you. If you like what you mentally now see, join my website to learn and think like me at stoicmatchmaker.com.